Hi, welcome to the Coffee Chat Show here on Buzzin Pattaya, the show where we talk about things that are happening right here, right now, as well as general news, tips, information and advice. Now, Dave, welcome back, my man. How you doing, buddy?
I'm fine, Trevor. Thank you very much.
So, what have you been up to since I last spoke to you?
Not a lot, just plodding on with the...
have you been practicing that Rupert accent?
Hoping and praying, you know.
Now, if you don't know, part one was out on Monday. There is a link in the description below where Dave shared about how he was out there with his double barrel pumping shots at poachers and all the rest of it. How a pheasant can have a drastic impact on your life. I mean, that pheasant changed your life.
I was a pheasant plucker. I was.
Now, you're here in Canterbury Tales Book Shop.
Yes, correct.
Which is in Soy Chiappoon.
Soy Flight Pond, I call it.
Flight Pond? Why is that?
There's a big lake up there in the middle and I want to put some duck decoys on there and shoot some ducks. But there aren't any ducks in Thailand. Anyway, carry on.
That's true. Well, if they are, they get eaten.
Only the farm ones.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, you came here in a relationship, you've had your life here, you've been here now, what, 17 years?
I have, yes.
I mean, what was the inspiration and the thought process in opening up a bookshop? I mean, before you answer, the reason I want to know that is because not really many people come to Pattaya to read a book.
Sure. You'd be surprised, actually, the amount of books that we get through.
Yeah.
Or that go in and come out, go out and come in. It was something different. But it was almost by accident because when we moved from across the road into here, there was a sign company in half of it and the entrance to the rooms in this half.
Okay.
Rooms above. And we opened it all out and it flooded and God knows what. But then I had one lot of books and one shelf of books or two shelves of books. And I thought, you know, that could be an interesting little setup. And then I went round, I studied, you know, I looked into beach books, the other people around, and they were quite busy.
Right.
They were quite busy, and there was half a dozen then. And I thought, well, if they're quite busy, you know, we can find room for another one. And like everything else, you know, we would go round in the early days, mostly my wife, to all the hotels, buying books from hotel receptions.
Oh, so that's where you got your stock from?
That's where we got a lot of stock from then.
Oh, okay, I'm with you.
And then I had guys coming over from mostly the UK.
Yeah.
And they would know what I wanted and they would bring a suitcase full of books they bought from a boot fair and they buy them for 20 pence or whatever. And
God,
they
20
would
pence,
them.
you're showing your age now.
And I was giving them 50 baht.
It's like in a jumble sale, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course. And so that's how we started to build up with stock. And then I knew, you know, you have the best books, you're going to get people coming in. And then slowly, the Swan books, on Soybacau, Dave, he died and packed it all in, of course. And it slowly, we just grew and everyone else just sort of started to wane away.
So when you're talking about books, I mean, what kind of book selection do you have available? Is it like fictional or factual? I mean, what do you have?
We have everything. We have sections, the A to Z of fiction starts on that wall over there.
Yeah.
We have sections on biographies, sport, classics, erotica.
Erotica?
I know. Oh my God.
Damn.
And just about everything. Biographies, as I said before, autobiographies, war, true crime, one of the most popular of all. But yeah, we have sections on everything, and it's although they get a bit dusty because we're open from the front, you know, they get a bit dusty and a bit brown from the humidity.
Yeah.
You know, an old book, if you haven't read it, is like a new book.
Yeah. And
I've heard that many times because, as I say, an old classic, some people like the literature.
Yeah.
Some people like a nice light read, like maybe, you know, Stephen Leather, John Grisham. Other people like the true crime stuff. You know, and I'm sure quite a few of them are in some of the books here, you know, because, you know, the reputation.
See, you're putting me to shame now, because the only books I ever used to read were Enid Blyton.
Right,
the famous five.
Well, I don't read.
Have you got any of them?
No, we have actually.
Have you?
We have.
Oh, how cool is that?
We have a little children's section.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, it's an ongoing thing, and you know, you can trade in books here,
right,
that you don't want anymore. And we do get a lot of rubbish like that. We get, you know, crossword books that are already filled out, somebody brought in. And of course, the guys...
Please tell me you're joking.
They trade them in and they don't really understand it. So we have to throw them away or rub out all the bloody answers. But anyway,
That's brilliant.
You can trade books in that you don't want anymore.
Yeah.
You buy a book for say 100 baht, and when you bring it back, and there's no time limit,
Yeah.
you'll get half of that off the next book.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, it's always worked very well. And,
so the question I've got to ask you, Dave, private dancer. You must have had a few of them.
We've had hundreds in and out over the years.
Have you read it?
I read some of it.
Right.
But Stephen Leather used to bring them in and sign them and so on, and then he got more and more famous and busier and so on. So, but yeah, we've had quite a lot of the authors in here. A lot of the Thailand books. Matt Carroll recently, Thai Lottery and Thai Kiss, very popular books about Thailand and the relationships and stuff. So, we get a lot of authors in and so on and so forth. But it's a very, a lot of guys that can't control their drinking start reading, and it takes their mind off stuff. They get into a different world. Some we have a fantasy and science fiction section, and I think to myself, God, who would want to read that?
Yeah,
but people do.
Yeah, I must admit, it's not my cup of tea.
No, absolutely, and as I say, but people do read that stuff, and we have a section on that and a lot of books in there, and it's just a constant rollover and people trading in. We have a few German, French, Scandinavian, Italian, Dutch as well. And as I say, guys trade them in, bring them in, they don't want them, they're moving or whatever. And we used to buy books, but we don't so much now because I just have so many. But we trade a lot, we do a lot of
So
trade.
how long has Canterbury Tales been open and established for now?
We've been in here 15 years.
15 years?
Yeah, and it started off very small, but slowly. We actually had a bit of a bar the first year.
Yeah.
And a pool table, and we was in the pool league. But then I was in here till 2 o'clock in the morning with guys pissed up, and it wasn't what I wanted to do. So that we got rid of that, and we just really worked on the books.
Now I know we're gonna talk about that in a minute about your own book, because you're bringing your book out. But away from that, do you get a lot of time? I mean, do you actually read books yourself, or is
I read. I very rarely read a full book. I read a lot of bits about books, and I put them on our group and all over the net to let people know, who writes what authors' subjects are.
Yeah.
And I obviously let people know what books we've got in.
Yeah.
And so on. I mean, you always get the guy. I put a book on 3 weeks ago, and he wants it today, and it's already sold. That sort of thing. But I try and get people to browse.
Okay.
Because there's so many. We have a various section with about 1,000 books. You've got everything from Weight Watching to Giving Up Smoking to Alcoholics Anonymous. Yeah, I've not read it, as you can tell. But we have a section on all sorts of stuff, and so yeah, I don't read a whole book. In fact, I recently, before I started writing my book, I started reading a book, and I won't tell you the author because he might get a bit upset. But it was first 9 pages about a woman going shopping with her mother and what colour blouse she should wear and buy. And I thought, how bloody boring.
Oh, mate, yeah.
And I thought, well, my book's going to, leap and bounds over that. But
well, I can relate to only part reading, because when I was a kid, I used to read The Sun, and I'd only get to page 3, and I couldn't get past it when I was a kid. It was like, oh, well, that's it now. The rest of it's only...
Right.
I mean, do you remember those days?
I do indeed, yes.
Do you have any books like that?
Oh, yeah, we do, as I say. And we had some Janet and John books come in. They were donkey's years old by Ladybird or whatever, and I think they're still in there, actually. But, that sort of thing I remember as a child.
Yeah.
But then I read, I had the Oxford Book of Birds and all that. That was what I was into when I was a kid. But I've never been a big reader. I can watch a documentary on the internet or online or whatever. But to sit and read a book constantly is I can't do it. But writing a book is a bit like going in blind. I'm on 147 pages. So far.
And you're not even out of Dongguan Airport.
I'm not even in, I'm just about getting into Thailand, because the book is not about coming and opening a bookshop.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff that went on from when I was young, very young, right through my gamekeeping, through into the Samaritans and the prisons and the taxi driving, because there was a lot of things went on. And I won't give too much away, because it's...
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But the difficult thing is knowing how to write a fiction book, which it's got to be, and covering it up so people in the book, you know, people won't know that they did this and they did that. Because
So how are you going to cover your pheasant plucking situation?
Well, that's a small detail. There was a lot of stuff that went on over the prison thing and all this, that, and the other. The guy who I met in prison, I knew as a child. He was in prison for drugs and he got out. I was going to look after him to keep him off the drugs. It didn't work. That's how I started doing a bit of taxi driving. He had mixed taxis in Canterbury and he got shot with a shotgun for the drug money he owed before he went in. And just before he got shot, another one of the drivers murdered his girlfriend. This is all true. This is all completely Googleable. And the guy did 15 years and he got out last year because I watched the thing all the way through, because it happened while I was there and not there at the time, but when we knew he did it, and so on. So it's a bit complicated, but he'd done 15 years and just got out.
Wow.
And the other fellow who was shot, I was trying to be, you know, in between his wife and 2 children so he could see his children, but he got back on the drugs. It's a long story, but it'll all be in the book. But
so when's you booked you out?
Oh God, it'll be a while yet. I mean, it's you know, it's a fiction book based on a true story, and I've got to add a lot of fiction here and there as such, because otherwise it'll be just a true story. And then if it's a true story, some people will be getting a few problems, having a few problems, because I was involved in the prisons and stuff, and it's very, very complicated.
So do you get people coming in and ask for some really random books and really random stuff?
You get a lot of people ask for, you know, the worst ones are the people who ask for a book that I put online a month ago or 3 months ago, and you've got to find them. And are they still there? And because I'm, you know, very limited being in a wheelchair, the staff are not very good with English. They're okay, but not that good. And finding anyone to help you out, you know, is very difficult. So that can be awkward. But I can normally point them to where it should be. But I encourage them to have a browse, because if they don't find that they're looking for that I put on the net, they'll probably find something just as interesting, and so on. So. And of course we ship books all over Thailand now. Okay. And as long as someone buys half a dozen or more, we ship them free.
Nice. So so someone could be in Chiang Mai, wherever.
Yeah, we've just sent 3 lots this week. In fact, one guy was I went to school with. He joined the army, retired, lives somewhere up in Thailand now. He found out I was here. I went to school with, you know, and so on. And I've just sent him a box of books.
Okay, good.
And postage is not too bad. It's quite quick. It's not expensive. And you know, if you want a dozen Lee Child books or John Grisham or
Enid
books or whatever, or Enid Blyton.
Get me Enid Blyton in there. My famous 5.
We'll send them to you, you know. Yeah. So that works quite well, and it's all business, you know. And of course, then they can send them back and trade them back in.
Right. And I mean, you don't just do books here, though, do you? Because upstairs you've got rooms as well.
We have rooms. We used to do a lot of breakfasts.
Okay.
But as more breakfast places opened, we realised that it was going to get very tight. And the books were a better option. You know, you don't have to cook them, well, you can cook your books, but you don't have to cook them or
any accountants listening,
serve them or whatever. So books were a better option. So we packed in the food. We have 9 rooms upstairs.
Wow, 9.
About 4 are long-termers. We've got bookings, but whether it's going to happen in September, October, November. Sure, it's just a wait and see thing. But you just do what you can, and you have to put your prices accordingly. You know, we're getting now for rooms for a month, a third of what we would have got 10 years ago, and such a difference. It's gone down like that. But I had 30 odd rooms at one point.
30 rooms
in 2 other buildings up the road.
Yeah.
But as I've got less able, we downgraded.
Yeah, sure.
And everything is here now.
So, made it more manageable.
Yeah, it's very much so. It's easy to manage, and it's all at one spot. We've got very good staff. One lad's been here more than 10 years.
Has he? Well, that says a lot, doesn't it?
Because and he's a good lad. His English is very good. So I keep in my comfort zone, as I say, you know, and it makes life a lot easier. Yeah.
So how's your Thai?
Nit noi hasip hasip.
Nit noi hasip hasip.
Yeah,
that's not bad, is it?
Well, I've 17
years.
It's frustrating.
I can say a little bit, 50-50.
Yeah, my brain's full up, I'm afraid. I wish, I do envy people who can fluently talk Thai. and I should have put my effort into that when I first came here, because I didn't know I was going to be here 17 years later.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Had I have known, I would have, without a doubt, gone and done a course and the writing of it and everything else. And that would if anyone's going to come and live here and get involved, especially in business, it's a must do, you know.
Yeah,
really
definitely.
Is.
So when you're away from like working in the bookshop and doing it, I mean, where's your kind of go-to restaurant when everywhere's open? I mean, I appreciate right now.
Well, we have a little bit of a sort of a lunch club thing where we meet up on a Wednesday in the Kilkenny and we have bangers and mash or whatever they, you know, the Friday we have fish and chips in the seaside just up here.
Yeah.
Because they're all accessible to me in a wheelchair.
Understood. Yeah.
So I, you know, have ramps and so on. And we went down like the Retox in Soy Honey a couple of weeks ago. Just halfway there, it rained like you wouldn't believe. And I'm in there running down the crack of my arse, the bloody rain. And sorry,
You're right, go on.
Blanked that out. But no, you know, and we had fish and cod and chips, which was very, very nice. And as I say, the ramp was like that, and I thought I was going to the moon going up at the ramp, and my mate was behind pushing and so on. But no, so we get around. We've been down to Sportsman. They have ramps down there. The Retox, Kilkenny and the Seaside. I stick to my comfort zone, you know.
I mean, can I ask you a question? I mean, you mentioned in there about obviously access with a wheelchair. I mean, people that are watching that perhaps may be in a similar situation where they are in a wheelchair. I mean, would you still say to people, come here, you know, you can still get around, people will interact with you, it's still the same?
You've got to think about outside the box a bit. It's no good going, oh, I'm not going, look at the state of the bloody road. You can get pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
You might have to go out in the road.
Yeah.
But and if you're a first timer here, certainly you would need somebody really with you.
Yeah.
But you know, we see wheelchairs going up here all the time. I often ask them if they want to race. You know, and some of them are hand powered. Well, mine's electric because my arms.
You're cheating, aren't you? You're cheating.
Absolutely. Well, my arms are as useless as the rest of it. So but yeah, I mean, you know, it's rough and ready, but you know, the climate's great. And as long as you've got someone to keep their eye on you and help you out, even if that's a girlfriend or whatever,
sure,
it's fine. It's great fun, you know.
And I want to ask one personal question, so please forgive me for asking this, but I just want to. Well, yeah, we'll do our pods. So, what one would like to know is, when you go to places of evening entertainment, are you shown any affection by the young girls, be it that you are in a wheelchair?
I'm happily married, so I don't go to these places.
All right, let's spin that off. Right, come on, spill the beans.
So I can't.
I mean, in terms of like, you know, if someone is in a wheelchair, I mean, they have just as much fun, don't they?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of around the metro there. A lot of ramps.
Yeah.
You can drive straight in. They'll look after you. They'll make a point of looking after you. They'll find somewhere for you to sit and so on. And yeah, you'll get some attention.
Well, don't you drive too fast, because you'll be up on the stage.
Yeah, that's right.
They'll be like, bloody hell, Dave's in the house.
I used to see the odd one before I ended up in a wheelchair and go in, and they was having just as good a time as anybody else.
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly space for guys in wheelchairs and disabilities.
Brilliant.
Here. God, yeah.
Brilliant. I mean, we're doing a lot of talking about people that are coming here for the first time. I mean, one question I always ask everybody, because it's interesting to see what their perspective is on Pattaya and the things that go on here.
Sure.
If someone's coming here for the very first time, never been here, doesn't know what to expect, what would be your pearls of advice for them to say, listen, before you do anything, just listen to me for a second? What would you say?
Don't fall in love.
Do you know what? If I had 10 bars for everyone that says that.
And remember the golden rule. Those who hold the gold make the rules.
Okay.
You get so many guys, and I'm not going to mention names, we've even got them living here, who get absolutely twiddled around the little fingers of girls. You know, they're 50, 60 years old, their girlfriend's 20, beautiful, pretty, with those little eyes looking up at you, you know, and so on, and they would do anything for them, and they do. They buy them, you know, buffaloes and farms and houses, and we've all heard the stories.
Are you listening?
Start as you mean to go on. If you're going to come over here to live, or come over here a lot to even find a girlfriend, don't tell them you've got loads of money. Tell them you're on a tight pension and this, that, and the other. You'll soon find out how much they want to know you and so on. And just remember the golden rule. You know, those who hold the gold make the rules. Be fair, be kind, be generous and all that, but there's a limit to where, because once you start giving, you'll never give enough. They'll always want more and more and more. And I mean, guys who, I mean, I'm going to get slated for this, I know, But
Blame me.
My wife I've been with for nearly 15 years. Well, in fact, I've been with her longer than that because I've been married for that length of time. She was a teacher, and we're fine together. We've gone right round the scope of me going out drinking, getting drunk, and coming home smelling like a tart, to her having to look after me.
Yeah.
She does it very, very well. And guys who come out here 40, 50, 60 years old and marry a girl who's got 12 boyfriends, who works in a massage shop or a go-go bar, it very rarely lasts a long time because they've got, they go for the highest bidder. And someone will come along with more money than they offer them and so on. And it's just heartache. I've seen it time and time and time again. I know guys have lost houses, lost a lot of money. And why did they lose it? Because they gave it to them and then they realised and they wanted it back and they wasn't going to get it back.
And it's that classic saying, she's different.
Yeah, she's different.
She's different.
That's right. And start as you mean to go on. And the proof is in the pudding. If you've been with a girl for 10 years or 15 years, it's working. It's not a magic thing to it. You start as you mean to go on. You're fair and you're kind. I mean, in my case, it's a bit different because we had the business. My wife's worked very, very hard. We bought a house and blah, blah, blah. She's going to be okay and so on. But I see guys with a beautiful Thai girl, and you see them in 6 months' time, and they're like that, fucking hell. Yeah. And this is it. But you know what's the most common thing?
Go on.
People don't bloody listen.
Very true. Yeah, that's very true.
I have somebody who was very, very close to me, didn't listen, and and he's gone back to England now and so on. But it's common. It's common as
it is, and it's a lot more common than people realise. I had a very, very good American friend of mine. I won't name him, but we fell out for 2 years.
Yeah,
because he didn't believe me when I said to him, "You've got a wrong in there, mate." And I won't go into detail, but
I've seen
awful.
it time and time again.
Awful.
And they just don't listen.
Yeah,
they're guided by their third brain, aren't they?
Indeed.
And that thing that's most powerful thing known to man.
Yeah,
it's not a nuclear missile.
When they got it in their hand,
it's a little fluffy thing.
When they got it in their hand, you're in a whole world of trouble.
In complete control.
I mean, talking about Pattaya, we spoke very briefly in part one about the future of Pattaya. I mean, where do you see things finally settling down? What do you see? If I said to you, right, January the 1st, 2022, where do you see us? What do you think we're going to be doing?
Well, I think by then, I would hope that things are really starting to pick up again.
Okay.
I would obviously hope a little bit sooner than that, but it's going to take time.
Yeah.
With all the airlines getting back to everything, it's going to take time. But I'm pretty convinced with people I talk to who are back in England, totally pissed off looking at their walls, not being able to go out, and there's no night, the weather's crap and all that. They're all gagging to get back here.
Sure.
And I think once it does start. Once people know they can come back, get on a flight and come back, I think it will really start kicking off. I really do, and I hope it does because there's so many people who've gone out of business, but they'll be back.
Yeah.
They'll be back. They'll come back when there's loads of bars available for sale up here. They'll get filled up. I mean, there's still bars open up here. Not technically open, but they'll all come back. It'll take time, and by the new year, I would hope that it's really starting to kick off again.
Fantastic. Well, I can honestly say that it's been an absolute pleasure. Monday's interview was brilliant. And today's has been just as good, if not funnier. I mean, thank you so much for sharing, your knowledge. 17 years, my man. 17 years. 17 years. You look like you're 21.
And I've been back. I've been back once in that 17 years.
Wow. No regrets?
Yes.
Have you?
Oh, I have. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But that's a long story. And basically, when I left England to come here for a year, my daughter was a teenager, just about a teenager.
Okay.
And I thought, well, she's all with she's with her friends now. I was with her a lot. I had a 50-50 contact because I'd been divorced, and she was just a little girl, a little princess, basically. And I came here, and I got more and more fell in love with it. And then I started the business, and suddenly I thought, one day she's going to have children. And she's got 4 children now,
right?
And I only see them on camera, and it's hard.
Yeah.
They've been out here, but of course I can't really afford to bring them out here at the moment.
Oh, good.
They've been out. The last time was about 2.5 years ago. And you know, I speak to them, my granddaughter and my grandson and all that. He's 14 and so on, and it's hard.
Yeah.
I'd love to be part of their life. You know, it's a constant, a daily pain in the ass, but you get used to it, you know. And of course, then this came along, and now I'm in a wheelchair and so on. So yeah, I do miss that side of it. That would be my only regret. Yeah.
Okay, well that's fair, and thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
You know, you didn't have to do that. So.
No.
Well, that brings us to the conclusion of our second interview. Thank you so much.
Lyndon,
it's been
no
absolutely amazing.
Okay.
Guys, if you do want to come down, come down to Soy Chirpham, Soy Pothole as we call it. It's just off Soy Bacau. It's very easy. I'll put a pin drop on the description below so you can find where to come. Come and say hello to Dave, you know, come and see what loads of books they've got.
And
here we go.
And tea and coffee is the same price as it was 15 years ago.
Was it?
25 baht a cup.
Well, they are. And I've got to say, like, we're sat here, you may have heard a lot of things happening going back, but we're in a really cool position because you can just sit here, it's lovely and cool, and you can just watch people coming up and down. And as we touched on earlier, across the road, I won't say too much, but let's just say the view that way is a lot better than the view this way.
Yeah.
So there you go.
These seats are dearer this side.
Yeah, but not quite so rewarding.
No.
All right, well, that's it from us, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please, as always, remember, hit the subscribe button and also the bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we bring out a new video. Check out our members area. More and more people are joining each and every month, and come and see what goes on in there. And we are talking to lots of businesses that are offering you guys with your digital ID card discounts in various bars, clubs, restaurants, whatever. And guys, join our Telegram group. There's so much going on there. It really is a great fun. It's a little bit of fun. You can go in there, pictures, chats, videos, you name it. I'll let you find out for yourself. It's all going on. All right, that's it from us, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and please, wherever you are in the world, stay safe.
Tatty bye. Ta-ta. And anyone from Canterbury, please come and say hello.
There you go. But you've got to speak in a how now brown cow accent.
Hello.
Is that it?
Yes, here.
We're done.